Hello again, Steve here with a few comments on the importance of honesty. I know I've talked about this a few times, a few comments once again. I was at a conference about a week ago, and there was an addendum to the conference. It was an after conference, a small one for a few hours, and it was called the Rational Physics Conference. And I thought it was great because these guys, they talk about getting really clear on, well, they're people who are claim to be physics aficionados, or perhaps lovers of physics, you might say. And so I bought one of their books, well, one of their group's books. There's this guy called Monk. He goes by the pen name Monk, M-O-N-K-E Mind. Right there, Monk E Mind. And I picked up this little book called Atheism, the Dumbest Religion on Earth. And it's not a whole lot about atheism, but it is a funny, catchy title, and they make the case for atheism as being a religion because it relies on God, very much so, and at least that's their hypothesis here. But what I liked about this in terms of honesty is their stressing of the importance of getting clear on the definitions of words, especially key words that are used in a discussion or a conversation. And because we get these words of called exist and concept, object, these sorts of things. So the one I thought that was important was their definition of the word exist. And now they weren't putting forth this idea that, we should take their definitions of it. It was more along the lines of, think for yourself. Because one of the things they talk about a lot in their presentation is this fallacy of authority, like the whole concept of, well, science and math, of how, if somebody is a scientist, somehow they're an authority of something. In fact, this guy, Monk E Mind, he sort of facetiously, I suppose, says that I'm not an authority. He says, in fact, I'm a Walmart greeter, and everything I've learned from a shoeshine boy. So, in most conversations, he would be rejected as a fool, right? But his point is, look, forget about the authority. Is what's being said correct? Can you reason it through and get to the point? I mean, so often we hear rhetoric such as, 90% of scientists say or claim. Well, so what? Maybe they're all wrong. Maybe what they're claiming is wrong. What about the 10%? What are they saying? So anyways, I like his definition of exist, though. I mean, I'm not saying that I still maybe can put some thought into this, but exist, he puts object with location, something somewhere, physically present. So, and then he clarifies what he means by object, that which has shape. That which has shape. And he separates out concepts from objects, because a concept, he says, is the relation between objects, which is quite good, I think. So this rules out a lot of things. We put a lot of things in terms of concepts and verbs and so on once we have a greater clarity on what it is we're talking about. So for example, if somebody says, if I was to say that love exists, well, if we plug in this definition, an object with location. So exists, love exists, so in this definition it would have to be an object. And an object is that which has shape. Does love have shape? Right? So in that case, love doesn't exist. Right? In terms of the definition of existence. So it's something else then. It is like a verb, perhaps, rather than a noun. And it gets used as a verb. A lot of times language gets changed around, and we end up speaking speaking symbolically rather than truthfully, or greater degrees of truthfulness. And yeah, so I think it's not something for, it's for those, I guess, who really particular about definitions. And I'm not the most particular about definitions, but I like to get as much clarity as I can. And for those of you who might be interested in it, I would recommend this little book. A very small book. I like small books sometimes, especially if they're very pithy in terms of value. And you can find Monk E-Mind's work. I just did a quick search here on, I think it's Amazon, and there's half a dozen of his books there. Rational Science, and various different volumes of it. And I'm sure you could find this book as well. It's a quick little read, and it's got lots of, well, also there's just as a little plug for him, I got no stake in this whatsoever, but there's also a website on the back here. You can probably read it. I don't know if you can or not, but it's basically bhwservers.com/Monk E-Mind. And there's also books, it says books on Amazon as well. So yeah, little book review, I guess you could say. Atheism, the Dumbest Religion on Earth. I really enjoyed it. Information by Monk E-Mind on getting clarity on definitions and basically honesty in the definitions of words as best we can, to think for ourselves and put forth definitions that make sense and clarity in our conversation. Great chatting again. Talk again soon. Bye.